of where you came from, and it's really important that we keep those ties.
A closing prayer here in Richmond, Virginia, where the thoughts of Pastor Waller and his congregation turn to the injustice in banking that still remains today.
I am a product of going to the bank, couldn't get a loan. A person's got a loan that had worse credit scores than I had. And I think a lot of work needs to be done from that perspective. And I think there needs to be a balanced opportunity across the line. It doesn't matter who you are or what background you come from. If you qualify, you qualify.
I'm sure that this is not the first, nor will it be the last time that people of color have not been treated fairly. However, Black people, we are a strong people. We are a resilient people. And if they fail us, we continue to come back sometimes stronger than ever.
This week's documentary from the BBC World Service was produced and presented by me, Suping Chan.
Hello, you're watching Sky News Today. I'm Nick Qureshi. Here are the headlines at 10 o'clock. 3 years and more than 200,000 deaths since the pandemic hit the UK. The independent COVID inquiry gets underway this hour. The inquiry will look at the country's response to the virus, but families of those who died say they have been silenced. Also this morning, the US seeks to analyse sensors from the suspected Chinese spy balloon it shot down over a week ago. The United Nations says Syria has agreed to open 2 more border crossings to allow aid to reach rebel-held areas. Liverpool fans are cleared while UEFA and French authorities are blamed for unrest at last year's Champions League final in Paris. And New Zealand declares only the 3rd state of emergency in its history as it's battered by a cyclone. Hi, morning. Thank you for joining us. So just over 3 years after the first cases of COVID were identified in the UK, the independent COVID inquiry is due to begin its first preliminary hearing within the next half hour. More than 218,000 people have now died with COVID in this country alone. The inquiry will examine the response of the Boris Johnson government, the NHS and others to the pandemic and the impact it has had on the UK. It will also seek to learn lessons to help prepare for future pandemics. Families, though, of those who died say they suspect justice will not be done as they won't give evidence directly to the inquiry. We'll be speaking to our science and medical correspondent, Thomas Moore, later this hour, and do stay tuned. We'll bring you that inquiry live from around 10:30 when we expect it to start this morning. The United States says specialists are examining sensors from the suspected Chinese spy balloon which was shot down earlier this month. 3 more unidentified objects have been shot down over North American airspace since then.
We were able to determine that China has a high-altitude balloon program for intelligence collection that's connected to the People's Liberation Army. It was operating during the previous administration, but they did not detect it. We detected it. We tracked it. And we have been carefully studying it to learn as much as we can.
Our Asia correspondent Helen Ann Smith is in Beijing with the latest.
The mood in China is one of defiance. The Chinese maintaining that although that first balloon that was shot down on the 4th of February was a Chinese craft, they adamantly insist that it was a civilian craft there to do weather monitoring, and they are sticking resolutely to that line. But we heard a repeat of the accusation yesterday from the Americans that they have gathered debris from that balloon and that they believe it was part of, quote, a fleet of balloons sent over from China, and specifically yesterday updated that from that debris they've collected critical electronics, they called it, and also this key sensors presumably used for intelligence gathering. So that sort of constant peppering of information from the Americans, perhaps to keep the public informed, but also perhaps to keep up the pressure on China. And there is a sense, I think, that the Chinese are feeling the pressure, because yesterday in a news conference that I attended, as I said, sticking resolutely to those denials, but also the narrative turning to accusations towards America, very much stating that they feel that the Americans have quite a lot to answer for when it comes to surveillance, and that they're accusing America of sending at least 10 balloons or spy balloons over Chinese territory since the beginning of 2022. Now that's an accusation that the Americans deny, but I think it demonstrates just how tense this has become between the two countries. Still a huge amount of mystery over those three unidentified craft, but there is a sense here, I think, that China feels like it's being accused of being responsible for those two, even though neither the Americans nor the Canadians have said as much overtly, although there have been American lawmakers that have insinuated that. So, it really is a kind of a puzzling and mysterious set of incidences that really has done significant damage to the relations between the US and China that were already at a pretty low ebb.
Helen Smith there in Beijing. Now, if you scan the QR code on your screen right now, you can listen to today's Sky News Daily podcast with Neil Patterson. Neil today looks at the political motivations behind President Biden's new trigger-happy approach to protecting American airspace and why these shot-down objects are more likely to be from Earth than they are from Mars. You can subscribe to the Daily wherever you get your podcasts. Now, the number of people killed in the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria has now passed 37,000. It's just over a week since the quake struck, and Syria's president is reported to have given the go-ahead for aid to go through 2 more crossings into rebel-held areas. Sky's Cordelia Lynch can bring us the latest from the city of Adana in southern Turkey.
The UN has welcomed the news that Assad has granted access to 2 more aid routes, and the situation in Syria is desperate. Aid really needed. It is the result of a meeting between the UN humanitarian chief Richard Griffiths and Assad. Griffiths described it as very positive, very constructive, but the White Helmets, the group that was really at the centre of that early rescue effort, has said that it gives him free political gain. The UN, though, has been under intense pressure to get more equipment through, to get more food, more medical supplies. Now, that's the situation in Syria. Here in Turkey, we're in Adana. This is a place where those displaced can get some shelter. And here they have brought harrowing stories of survival, but also of deep loss, and we've witnessed those firsthand as well. We spent the day in Antakya in the south. There, miraculously, more than a week after the earthquake hit, a mother and father were pulled from the rubble, and we were there for around 8 hours as their family held on to hope that their 26-year-old son could also be pulled from that crumbled building. Sadly, that effort was in vain, and we saw that kind of visceral, guttural emotion as they realised that unfortunately he had not made it through. Now, I think what's really striking in the time that we've spent here now is this movement towards frustration and anger. Lots of people telling us that these buildings just weren't safe, that there are a lot of questions at the door of the contractors and the government, that regulations were not complied with, they were not enforced, and that they should never have been left in these buildings. We've also seen mass graves, a very vivid symbol of the deep loss here in Turkey, which is still being felt as the death toll rises.
Cordelia Lynch there. Well, the people who did survive those catastrophic events are now struggling to live, with many, of course, grieving for lost family members. Sky's Siobhan Robbins reports from Adiyaman, where hundreds of thousands have been left homeless, living in cars and tents in freezing conditions.
Fatima's whole world has gone. Few of her family survived. On a patch of wasteland in a broken city, they try to keep warm. As she lists the dead.
Anne, baba, kardeş, yani abi, abla.
Mother, father, sisters, brothers, in-laws. 13 lost to the rubble, 10 children orphaned. 8 days ago, their house looked like this. This is what remains. A home, now a tomb, where her loved ones died. Victims of an earthquake, which keeps playing in her mind. Even when we're standing, we feel like we're shaking, she says. Sleep is fleeting. Around them, rescuers try to recover the dead, as the living do what they can to survive. We heard stories of people being taken out of the rubble but dying from cold, Fatima tells me. The freezing weather isn't the only challenge.
Ne iş yapabilirim? Yani ticaret yok. Şu anda hayat iflas etti şu anda.
There's no work. We are bankrupt, brother-in-law Habib says. He shows us the van where they take turns to sleep.
Benim için benim umudum yok. Bence bitti.
For me, I have no hope. It's over. The city is finished. At night here, it's bitterly cold, the temperature dropping to -4 or below, and that will continue for weeks. This country has already experienced a natural disaster, and now it's facing a humanitarian one. People have left Adiyaman in their thousands. Power is patchy, the water off or contaminated. State-made tent villages replace homes. Aisha shows us the government-supplied shelter she shares with 10 others. They have no toilets or showers and a growing fear of disease. We can't deal with an outbreak now. Those who survived will then die. Half of the city is dead, she says. Turkey is now doing what it can, but the need is overwhelming. The suffering, endless. Siobhan Robbins, Sky News, Adiyaman, Turkey.
Let's turn to Ukraine next, where Russian forces have been bombarding parts of the eastern Donetsk region as NATO allies meet in Brussels today to discuss how to step up military supplies to the government in Kyiv. The NATO Secretary-Generals warned the countries are running out of ammunition and need to step up logistic support for Ukraine.
It's extremely important to ensure that all the systems that are already delivered work as they should. So meaning that, for instance, when it comes to artillery, we need ammunition, we need spare parts, we need maintenance, we need all the logistics to ensure that we are able to sustain these weapon systems. So it's not only about discussing new systems, but ensuring that all the existing systems are working as they should. This has become a grinding war of attrition, and therefore it's also a battle of logistics, and this is a huge effort by allies to actually be able to get in the ammunition, the fuel, the spare parts which are needed.
While leading the meeting of allies today, the US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said this morning that the need was urgent.
We still have much more to do together, and we must intensify our focus. Ukraine has urgent requirements to help it meet this crucial moment in the course of the war. Now, today's meeting comes at a critical time. The Kremlin is still betting that it can wait us out. But 1 year on, we are as united as ever. And that shared resolve will help sustain Ukraine's momentum in the crucial weeks ahead and help Ukraine travel the challenging road that lies beyond.
Go to Brussels and join our Europe correspondent Adam Parsons. Morning, Adam. So all this comes, Jens Stoltenberg yesterday talking about this spring offensive by Russia, which has started early. So the need really is critical now for the Allies to pull together.
Yeah, and I think there's a few really key messages that are coming out of NATO today. One is that they think that the Russian offensive has started, that Russia hasn't waited until the year anniversary of the start of the war, that actually these attacks on Bakhmut are the sign of that renewed offensive. I think that is message number one. Message number two is that Russia is throwing people at this offensive, and that if it has to accept a high number of casualties, then it will do so. That, of course, is something that NATO fears about Russia, this willingness to accept deaths and injuries among its soldiers, effectively to simply throw its vast number of people at Ukraine. So I think that is something that they want to alert the world to, that this isn't just about sophisticated technology. And I think that takes us into message number three, which is that recently there's been a huge amount of talk about fighter jets, for instance, about surface-to-air missiles, about long-range missiles, about this level of technology. And I think what you heard there from Lloyd Austin, but most obviously from Jens Stoltenberg, is this message that this is potentially about a grinding war that could be won and lost, not so much simply on battlefields, but also on logistics. That has been a very strong message from Mr. Stoltenberg recently. And I think that in those meetings with defence ministers today, he is going to ask them to effectively step up their classic defence industrial capabilities, building shells, supplying ammunition and munitions for the field for Ukraine. Why? Well, because Ukraine is getting through a huge amount of this stuff on a daily basis. And it is not at the moment able to replenish its stocks. And I think what NATO sees in Russia is a determination to win this war by playing the long game, by saying that we've got more people, that we have got more ammunition, that we've got more machinery, even if some of it looks obsolete, that we are just going to keep piling people and things onto the battlefield in the expectation that Ukraine, will not be able to keep up. That's his message, is that you have to roll in behind Ukraine, give them the shells, give them the munition, give them the ammunition, so they can continue to go toe-to-toe. And by the way, in the margins, yes, they will be talking about Chinese balloons that have been floating over North America. That will be discussed, but the focus, as ever, will be on Ukraine.
All right, Adam, many thanks indeed, Adam Parsons. Next this morning, an independent report into those chaotic scenes at last year's Champions League final between Liverpool and Real Madrid in Paris has concluded that European football's governing body, UEFA, and the French authorities were responsible for what it says almost turned into a mass fatality catastrophe. Thousands of Liverpool fans were tear-gassed, and the French authorities claimed many had fake tickets. Now, in the past half hour, their club condemned what it described as shocking false narratives. Our sports correspondent Rob Harris saw those findings first, which we reported about yesterday, and sent us this.
It was the biggest night of the European football season that almost led to a disaster, with Liverpool fans forced to endure crushing and congestion. They were initially falsely blamed for the 2022 Champions League final chaos. But in a review first revealed by Sky News, safety failings and misleading statements by authorities are now clear. UEFA, who commissioned the report, were found to bear primary responsibility for the failure as the ultimate event organisers. But the police and French Football Federation are also found culpable for not protecting the public sufficiently.
It's here where the failings trying to control the crowds were most apparent. A bottleneck formed of Liverpool fans. And what the review found is there should have been a plan B to deal with situations as they developed, but there were no contingencies to ensure that police and stewards could be redeployed to deal with issues as they developed.
It's been revealed there was no venue risk assessment.
These were the main access points for Liverpool fans, but the turnstiles were closed for parts of the night as police struggled to deal with locals trying to climb over the fences to access the stadium. Tear gas and pepper spray was used too proactively, the review finds, and that police were wrong to deploy tear gas and pepper spray in this scenario. It led to blameless Liverpool fans suffering.
It was an absolute mess, no organisation. Total people worried, without the skin, and when the announcement come over on the screen, we were quite lucky we got in before it got really bad. And we had phone calls from home, you know, because it's seen on the telly, just blaming us from the start, and the first thing you think of is what's happened in the past.
The review uncovered a policing operation wrongly based on Liverpool fans being a threat. UEFA was found to have marginalised its safety and security unit. There was a lack of contingencies, and overall communication between UEFA and French officials was poor.
I don't believe at all that the authorities have taken this seriously. They thought that they could get away with scapegoating Liverpool fans because it's worked in the past, and it's only because of the vigilance and the stoicism of fans that once again the truth has come out.
The Liverpool fans who were smeared in Paris have been exonerated, and UEFA have apologised. But how close fans came to losing their lives and the attempts to deflect blame will be hard to forget for those subjected to danger. Rob Harris, Sky News, Paris.
Let's update you with some of the day's other news right now. And in the United States, 3 people have been killed after a shooting at Michigan State University. Police say 5 people were also taken to hospital, some of them in a life-threatening condition. The gunman later died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Ford has announced plans to cut 3,800 jobs in Europe over the next 3 years, including 1,300 in the UK. The car maker says it wants to create a leaner, more competitive cost structure and focus on a smaller range of electric vehicles. It hopes most of the jobs will go through voluntary redundancy. The Queen Consort has sent her sincere apologies for having to cancel all engagements this week after testing positive for COVID. Camilla first contracted coronavirus at the start of the pandemic in March 2020, when the King, and then Prince Charles, of course, had it too. You're watching Sky News Today. Coming up, a rare national state of emergency in New Zealand as Cyclone Gabrielle causes floods and landslides.
I'm Hannah Thomas-Peter, and I'm Sky's climate change correspondent. The UK is a world leader in wind power. Power! Power! People! It's part of the Congo Basin rainforest, which is such an important ecosystem. It's known as the lungs of Africa. We aim to be the best and most trusted place for news. She doesn't really enjoy speaking to the press, and it wasn't clear right up until the last moment that she was going to sit down with me.
I might be just very naive, but I do believe that change is possible, otherwise we wouldn't be climate activists.
I'm confident for the last 30 years we have known how bad it is. I'm not here to apologize, I'm here to fight for the next step.
You can see just the piles and piles of stuff, these sofas and people's desks and children's books, and you can see inside this home here people trying to sort out their home. It's just been devastating.
I think everything's at stake. The future of our planet, the future of the beauty around us, the future of you and me.
Hello, welcome back. The number of days lost to strike action in 2022 was at its highest since 1989. Figures released by the Office for National Statistics also show that despite pay rises, people are still earning less in real terms because wages are failing to keep up with inflation. Our business correspondent Gurpreet Narwan can tell us more.
The figures from the Office for National Statistics today show that redundancies are rising, vacancies are falling, and all of this will filter through into the unemployment rate, which is still at the moment close to a record low of 3.7%, but it is expected to rise over the coming months and years. But that doesn't mean that our labour market isn't still fairly tight. Wage pressure in the economy is still pretty robust. Figures from the ONS released today showed that wages in the private sector at least are rising by 7.3%. Of course, that's nowhere near close enough to the inflation rate, which is over 10.5%, shows that wages are still lagging behind inflation, but it will give policymakers at the Bank of England pause for thought, because it will still be far too high and comfortably too high for the Bank of England. Now, all of this is leading to an almighty fallout in the form of industrial disputes across the UK. Everyone's noticed that strike action is taking hold, and the ONS published some pretty staggering figures today showing that the number of working days lost to strike action in December hit 843,000. That's the highest since November 2011. You might remember when we had that wave of action in the public sector. And if we take an even broader view, since June, we've lost 2.5 million working days to strikes. That's the highest since 1989. So although the government is telling people that higher wages could fuel inflation, it's pretty clear that people aren't willing to accept a decline in their living standards.
Tell you next about a national state of emergency declared in New Zealand after intense rainfall caused by Cyclone Gabrielle led to a landslide near Auckland. One firefighter is missing after being caught in the landslide. Another has been critically injured. The latest now from Sky's Nicole Johnston.
Well, the situation does appear to be deteriorating. Some 225,000 people across the North Island of New Zealand are now without power. Only a few hours ago, that number was around 40,000. So officials are certainly concerned. As you said, they don't normally declare these states of emergency. The last time was during the COVID pandemic and the Christchurch earthquake. So they're really worried about rising floodwaters, damaged infrastructure, roads, bridges. Footage is coming out of people waiting on their rooftops to be rescued. The military's been called in, 200 personnel are trying to help with it. There is expected to be a weakening of this ex-tropical cyclone on Wednesday as it starts to move from the North Island to the South Island. But clearly New Zealand has a massive clean-up operation ahead of it. And this is the second mass flooding event they've had in the last 2 weeks.
Nicole Johnston there. You're watching Sky News today. Thank you for your company. Coming up, the COVID-19 inquiry begins hearing evidence on how well prepared the UK was for a pandemic.
If you are over 50 and don't have life insurance, this video will show you how to apply for £250,000 in coverage from just £17 per month. Even if you were born before 1967, have some health conditions or are a smoker. Apply for £250,000 in coverage with just one phone call. There's no face-to-face meeting. And there's no physical medical exam.
SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shipper.
Very well. We were very early in on the vaccine, but there were a lot of mistakes made early on in the pandemic. And this is going to be this first module is going to be looking at the resilience and the preparedness for a pandemic. There were a lot of assumptions made by the government advisors on that this was going to be a flu that would cause pandemic, and COVID's nothing like flu, as we now know. So could it have been picked up on the very clear differences in those viruses at an earlier stage? Did it act on the evidence? These are the kind of things that the inquiry will be looking at when it starts hearing proper evidence in May, so we can learn the lessons.
And we remember, don't we, vividly, Patrick Vallance saying that 20,000 figure he quoted, said, and here we are, 218,000.
Absolutely, and I think they underplayed the significance of the virus in the early stages. We saw very swift responses from countries in Southeast Asia who had experience of other coronaviruses, SARS and so on, and they shut their borders extremely quickly to buy time. They also were very swift in developing tests, as we saw in South Korea, which of course became instrumental in understanding where the virus was in society, so you could start to restrict the movements of people who were infected and reduce the chances of the virus being passed on to others.
What are we going to hear today specifically? Is it going to sort of conclude today and then pass to May, or will this go on?
So they're hearing, there are a number of preliminary hearings, which is basically setting out so that everybody understands how the inquiry will operate, so that once they get into the meat of it in May, they can operate much more swiftly. And this is going to take a long time, and we have to bear in mind that there have been other big inquiries. For example, the one into the Iraq war took 7 years. So this is going to take a long time, because not only does it have to be a factual narrative of what happened over the 2-3 years of the pandemic, but also it has to provide some kind of signpost to the future to make sure that we don't make the kind of mistakes that we clearly did this time around.
Yeah, and nobody's had to deal with such a pandemic, and the last big pandemic was like 100 years earlier. So clearly lessons have got to be learned. Clearly everyone was in uncharted territory.
And that's really important. This was a new virus, and you can't expect to know everything about a new virus. The big question, though, is did we act on the evidence quickly enough as it accumulated? Were we listening to the right sources? Were we listening to the breadth of evidence? A great play was made of people following the science. It became clear that there wasn't one science quite early on, that there were other experts who had a different point of view, pushing for masks, warning that that the pandemic was accelerating much more quickly than some of the government modelling was showing earlier on. And if you're making mistakes like that, you're going to underplay the significance of this. You don't realise how widespread the virus is in society, nor understand how it's being transmitted. If you remember those early days where we're being told to sing happy birthday twice while washing our hands, well, this was a respiratory virus, this was airborne, and that was hopelessly inadequate for dealing with what was to come.
A lot of focus, we might have to interrupt to go to the inquiry, a lot of focus was on Boris Johnson announcing a lockdown, delayed, many people said, should have gone sooner.
Yes, and there was good evidence that had he gone for a lockdown 3 weeks earlier, he would have saved thousands of lives, and it seemed inevitable to many people that this was going to go in the way of a lockdown. He was concerned about the economy, perhaps put that too far ahead.
We can actually go to the inquiry now, the preliminary hearing. Let's listen in.
COVID-19 UK inquiry. It is being held remotely, and therefore I shall keep my observations to a minimum, and I shall try to avoid interrupting the advocates who are speaking. We intend to deal with a number of important issues that both counsel to the inquiry and the core participants have raised in their written submissions to me. I am very grateful to all of them, and I hope that, given I've received the written submissions in advance and had an opportunity to consider them, the advocates can focus on the main parts of their submissions that they wish to highlight today. I am sitting here in a hearing room on my own. Counsel to the inquiry are in a separate room, and other participants are attending remotely. And I believe that everyone has been informed as to the system that has to be employed should anybody wish to speak who hasn't already given notice of their intention to do so. So with those observations, given we have so much to get through today, I'll call on Mr. Hugo Keith, King's Counsel to the inquiry. Mr. Keith.
This is the second hearing. First one.
Could you pause, Mr. Keith? I don't know if it's the public.
With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820, or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the
darkness.
hole of darkness.
So what did that
Myself and the world in adjustment. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your
This is
smartphone.
Starr Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Though your heart is aching, smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and The Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio. This is
UK.
Starr Radio
UK.
This is Starr Radio
UK.
Welcome.
worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make a doubt they fade. Jesus, and that's what makes you great. Hold the world in your hands. The hand that made me who I am. Same God now, yesterday, and forevermore. And that's what makes you great. You are God. You will never change. You remain the same.
This is Starr Radio UK.
One who took my pain, took away my shame. Lord, you reign. That's why forever call you great.
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We salute you. We reckon that you people are trying to come on Earth or come into our space with your balloons, but hey, we are watching you very closely. But let me say massive good morning and welcome on Earth as well. And let me say happy Valentine's Day to every one of you celebrating the Valentine. There's some, I wouldn't say some of us, some who don't believe in that. They believe that love should be always, not just one day where you go around, do all sorts, but love should be a continuous thing. But the best of the love is the love that God shows unto us. When He says, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. What about that? What are you giving? Well, love is give and take. So you give, but don't give with a condition thinking that I'm giving because I want to receive. The believer or the Christians will tell you that. What are you talking about then? But whatever it is, I want to welcome you all to the Tuesday edition of the morning show. Today is the 14th day of February, the year 2023, and the time now is 10:45. But I remain your gift, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
And I'm saying good morning to my lovely wife Lottie as well, and happy Valentine's Day to you.
The hand that made me who I am.
To my team for today, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, Mr. Francis Gaye, Kojo D. A massive good morning to you all, and welcome to the program. Pastor Adeshina, good morning. Bishop Adeshina, Pastor Momo, and all you wonderful people who listen to us from various parts of the world. I salute each and every one of you. And then once again I say welcome. All protocol observed. Now let's take a stroll. I'll be bringing you the quote of the day, and then the weather forecast and travel update will follow suit. We'll move on from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as Global Trotting. Then after that, we'll look at some of the stories making the rounds from Nigeria. 11 days on to the election. Is it going to hold or not? With everything that is happening, INEC is saying, you know what, we put everything together. I'm probably saying that we don't care about the elections. We're not going to be doing anything to stop it. People are burning, or INEC offices died. They say it got nothing to do with us. We don't actually give a hoot about it. And we have Soloku or Solodu, who is saying that, you know what, I've made an appointment with the president, going to see him about Nnamdi Kano's release. Interesting times. Aren't we in? All right then, so
and that's what makes you great.
from there, we'll look at some of the other stories. Exactly at 12 o'clock, the lines are open for you to have your say. And then at 12:30, we'll bring the curtains down for the end of the program. But remember, this afternoon, exactly at 1:30, we'll be bringing you BB Means Business with BB Clements. So on that note, once again, welcome to the program. My brother Felix, good morning to you. Mr. David Kluche, good morning to you. Dr. Martin, good morning to you. Mama Lynn, oh my goodness, long time no hear, no see. Mrs. Ellen Ankuma. Happy Valentine's Day to you and to your lovely husband as well. Okay, let's crack on. Now, the quote for the day says, every excellent organization will spend a great deal of time to make you successful if your values match theirs. So, does your value match mine here on Starr Radio UK or where are you working? I tell you that if they see that, they will actually make sure that they enhance that so that it will benefit all of us, wouldn't it?
I worship you.
Okay, so now let's move on to the weather front. Let me tell you what is happening on the weather front today.
For you.
On the weather front this morning, yes, in London and the southeast of England, any lingering mist and fog should clear by the afternoon hours. Now, leaving plenty of winter sunshine for the rest of the day. Now, tonight will be dry and mainly clear. However, there is the risk of some mist and fog developing in places. Some locally dense and gentle southeast breeze expected as well. I'm moving on straight. My apologies. Temperature is going to be 14 degrees. The lowest is going to be 1 degree. UV level is going to be moderate. Pollution moderate as well. Sunset 17 to 18 and sunrise for tomorrow morning 17 hours. That brings us to the end of the weather forecast. So we're going to be moving on straight to the travel updates. Keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your dials logged on Starr Radio UK. Don't you go anywhere.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads, I'll keep you navigated on this 14th day. People who want to be traveling or moving around, doing all sorts. Yes, this is how the travel is going to be for you if you are in London and in the UK as well. Now, for those of you who are going to be traveling on the underground, Bakerloo line has got part closures, Metropolitan line, minor delays, Piccadilly line, minor delays. That aside, all the other underground lines, good service there. London Overground has got part suspension and part closures, so please check before you leave. And the London Tram link until the 19th of February, that's Sunday, there is part suspension and part closures there as well. But on the major roads in London, we have A10, A2, A3, A4, A41, Central London Red routes that have all got closures. Also, A24 and South Circular A205 has got serious delays. Now keep your eyes on the roads, I'll keep you navigated. The River Bus this morning has got good service throughout, and I can tell you shortly, the London Cable Car has also got good service. But whilst you still keep your eyes on the roads, let's go to the final segment of the travel updates. That is the National Rail. On the National Rail this morning, First Haul Trains has got minor delays. Great Western, Southwestern Railway, Southeastern, and Thameslink have all got minor delays. That aside, all the others, good service there. So on that note, as I would say once again, say it loud. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you. Enjoy your commute for today, but you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clemens, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business, but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time down to 8 minutes to the top of the hour, and that is time for the Global Throttle. Let's look at the stories making the rounds this morning across the globe. Yes, you want to wish somebody a special, what a wish. Yeah, you can put it on our platform. I promise you one thing for sure. I'm going to name the person. And even if you want us to call the person and wish them a happy Valentine's or whatever, feel free to do so. I promise you, I'm going to do that for you. At your service. At your service. All right, then. Now, let's move on. Let's move on to some of the stories making the rounds across the globe for today. Oh, my goodness. Yes, in the UK, where we're going to be starting from. Now, England hospital worse with the worst A&E waits revealed as one of the stories making the round this morning, and fought to cut 1 in 5 jobs in the UK. The car maker will cut 1,300 jobs, mainly at its research and development site in Essex. And the BBC sharp should fall on sword. That's why Jonathan Dimbleby is saying Richard Sharp is facing renewed pressure to step down as the corporation chairman. Will that happen or not? And more 16 to 24 years old get jobs as living costs bites. A record number of people have out of being economically inactive, driven by younger and older workers. Now, one day in this country, a referee will lose his or her life. Now, grassroots referees say they fear for their safety and are dissatisfied with measures to tackle abuse. Well, they go there, somebody fouls, they whistle or blow the whistle and maybe pull out their card and people follow them. It's like back in Ghana or Africa when you go for a football match and they say that no, this is not supposed to be a foul, and the referee, I bet you, some of them run. Some would say they pick race. So the referees here are saying that, well, with what is happening and the threats and the abuse that they are receiving, they think that it's just a matter of time that a referee might be killed, or yes, life might be taken in this part of the world. But this is an advanced country. What about that? Now, UK must wake up to China threat, says ex-MI6 chief. Western nations are under full pressure of Chinese espionage. Espionage, Sir Alex Younger has said this morning. Lots more going to be coming your way. So I'm going to be flying some balloon. That is some Valentine balloons. So I think when it goes over, I've got a PlayStation here. Don't think that this is another one. They might shoot it down. What about that? Well. Everybody's spying. Everybody does spy, don't they? Okay, Indian offices searched by income tax officials. The searches come weeks after a documentary in the UK looked at Prime Minister Modi's role in 2002 riots. So, what exactly is going on? I'll be bringing you more on that front. A Chinese balloon sensor recovered from ocean says the US crews found significant debris from the suspected spy craft off the South Carolina coast, says the U.S. military. And NATO has more to do to help Ukraine fight, says U.S. Dutch jets intercept Russian military aircraft over Poland, and NATO is hostile to us and proves this every day. That is what Russia is saying about an hour ago. And agent talks about armor, but jets remain a longer term issue. That's what I'm sorry. A top Iran chess player has been exiled for refusing headscarf. Sarah Kadim, now living in Spain, supports protesters back home but faces arrest if she returns to Iran. So will she? Why should she? Okay, maybe somebody say that she wants to stand with their people. So maybe. Okay. Now 3 killed in shooting at Michigan University. Another 5 people are injured in East Lansing as the suspect is found dead, police have said. A quick hit Syria to open more border crossing. The UN has been allowed to use just 1 crossing for aid since last week. Deadly quake in Turkey, but the Syrian leader has promised to open 2 more borders for international aid to come through there. All right then. Now moving on straight to other parts of the world as well. In Nigeria, Solodu is saying, I've booked appointment with Buhari on Kano's release. Interested. Now we don't care about Nigeria's election. IPOB says denies attacks on INEC facilities. Obiaha cautions against election boycott in Southeast. Now, would they boycott the elections? And if they boycott the elections, to whose advantage would that be? Maybe if they all come out to go and vote, maybe it gives Peter Obi, who hails from that particular part of the country, the chance of becoming the leader or of the country or winning that election. But if they boycott, where he hails from, where majority of the people would have, done it for him, how is it going to pan out for him? I'm going to tell you more about that. IPOP alleges plan to attack Atiku in Southeast and some of the stories. And a lot more going to be coming your way from Nigeria as well. Fanny Kayode apologizes for coup allegation after DSS grilling. Well. Atiku in Cross River announces plans for Calabar port expansion, railroad infrastructure, and 40 people dead as Nigeria records 216 diphtheria cases. Now, Labour Party reacts to Southwest leaders' defection to APC. And data abuse for banks, loan apps, network provider, others risk criminal liability. Only commitment to ideology principle will bring sanity to Nigeria's politics. Olayomi Hashim is saying. You see the way people cross carpets in Nigeria from one party to the other. You know that they don't have any policies or ideology that they are principles that they are following. They just think that today, well, the tide is moved here and the boom there, and then the next movement is moved there, boom. So much direction, isn't it? All right. Shell says is Bonga FPSO hits 1 billion barrel export milestone, and alleged 111 billion naira fraud. Katsina government withdraws suit against ex-governor Shema. Okay, those are some of the stories making the rounds in Nigeria. We'll see once we have Mr. Olayomi on to bring you more from that front. And then moving on. South Africa, 20 dead in collision between a bus and an armored car. Now, 20 people were tragically killed in an accident when the car struck, lost control, and collided head-on with an oncoming bus. Well, very scary one. South Africa has declared disaster after floods in 7 provinces. Now, more than 20 killed in militia attack in northeast DR Congo. And Libya launches maritime line with Tunisia as Tripoli seaport reopens after 11 years. Those are some of the stories making the rounds there on the Starr Radio UK morning show. Senegalese fighters head to quake hit Turkey. Interesting. That's Senegalese firefighters. They go to Turkey to go and help there as well. That's a good one. Senegal has sent 30-member search and rescue team to Turkey to support disaster relief efforts after a devastating quake, which has been described as one of the worst ever in the last 100 years. Okay, Starr Radio UK. In Ghana, coupon payment and maturing principles will be honored. That is what the government is saying. But how true is all that? Why we protect future pensioners but sacrifice pensioners in DDEP? And then Gabi versus Sophia Ekufu is a family affair but will get involved, some judge says. Well, Gabi and Sophia Ekufu, they from the same family, but well, the father Sophia Ekufu was on the picket line as well to support the pensioners. Gabi is on it and they are fighting each other, but well, some others are saying that, well, if that's what you're doing, it gives us the opportunity as outsiders now to put our own nose in your affairs. In economic crisis, I would have asked Oforiatta to resign, or I would have fired him long time. Who's speaking? Dr. Apraku. Now, interestingly, when you have people in government or in the helm of affairs who are not able to criticize, chastise, or give their thoughts to the government, and everything goes pear-shaped, and then after that, once they maybe leave government, or because they are vying for the votes of Ghanaians, or for any group of people, like in the case of Nigeria, we're talking about Osinbajo's case, where as a vice president, within that policies that have been enacted by the federal government, not all of them have been good. Some have been skewed that hurts Christians of those of the faith and stuff like that. So you look at all those things and you ask yourself the question: shouldn't he have spoken whilst he was still there? And if he didn't like what was going on, why couldn't he just step aside? Well, that is what Dr. Preku seemed to be doing. But what do you think? Well. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. I forgot my trial. I fled to Ivory Coast because my life was threatened. Second accused to the jury. Who was threatening his life? Well, more going to be coming away from there. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 2 minutes past the top of the hour. We're going to be taking a musical break, and once we come back, we continue with the show. So don't you go away. Continue to stay tuned, and I will bring you the news that is making the rounds or updates from Nigeria. Stay tuned and enjoy this music. This time round from the one and only and the late Sonny Oposo, and that is saying gratitude. You have to be grateful to God. You have to be grateful to God for everything that we have. Can you just imagine what the people in Turkey and Syria are going through? Those who have lost loved ones and are still going through all those challenges, yet they still have hope. Now, what about you? So enjoy this song, Gratitude. Show gratitude to God or whoever you believe in, or whoever is helping you, holding your hands and pulling you up. Your boss. I mean, yes. And as bosses, show gratitude to your workers as well. What about that? Enjoy this music and I'll be with you.
Good God. Now look at your neighbor. Say, neighbor, I have some gratitude in my spirit. I have some gratitude in my spirit. Ask your neighbor, do you have some of it? Because I'm about to unleash my gratitude. Now, you know what? Once you feel it, don't allow your neighbor to stop you. Once you feel it going, come on. Come on, everybody. Clap your hands like this. Come on. One more. Everybody say, I thank you. got to mention. Are you ready? Come on. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you for loving me.
And all the things you have. Come on.
Lord, I thank you.
Oh, Lord.
Lord, I praise you.
Come on.
Thank you for loving me.
Lord. Come on, sing. Lord, I thank you.
Lord, I praise you.
Lord, I praise you.
Thank you for loving me.
You have done for me.
This is Starr Radio. Starr Radio UK.
Come on. Thank you for loving me. Hey, hey. All the things you have done for me. Thank you for loving me. All the things you have done for me. Everybody thank you. Everybody praise him. Thank you for loving me.
Well, something from Samuel Koso. And it says gratitude. This is very, very important. One thing I always say, I hate people who are ungrateful. But well. Samuel Koso says, be grateful to God for all that He has done for you. We say it on this platform. When you wake up in the morning, you will find yourself still alive. Some way, somehow, Nigeria has not happened to you. Why don't you say, thank you, God, thank you, Allah, thank you. Whatever you believe in, you have to be grateful because, but for that, but wherever you are, it is Starr Radio UK, the 14th day of February 2023, 8 minutes past the top of the hour, and it's my singular honor to welcome the one and only Mr. Olayomi on the show this morning. I say, Yomi, good morning.
A very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to all our listeners. Good morning to all our viewers around the globe. And welcome once again to the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. As we welcome you once again, I say good morning to everyone that have joined us. And it is the Tuesday edition. It is the Valentine's Day, as a lot are celebrating. But should we be also celebrating more of our own culture? Exactly what you just said was exactly what I just said as I was coming out of the morning broadcast this morning from the sister broadcast. But again, as usual, we are back again. And when you're alive, you got to be grateful, regardless whether you're a Muslim, Christian, or you believe in the tradition. But the most important thing is, why have all these three areas of life have not been able to make use with our government in Africa? We pray a lot, but as a Christian, we don't have 3 square meal. As a Muslim, we don't have 3 square meal. As a traditionalist, we don't have 3 square meal. I was actually looking back to the 1980 when Nigerians arrive in UK, you will get the visa at the port of entry. But this time around, you would have to apply for that visa, but you are not guaranteed of a visa. What has actually gone wrong in Africa, most especially Nigeria, as we have all those headlines coming up? But I will return back again to you in the studio. This is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. I will now come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki in our North London studios. I'm Archie here in the South studios, and we're bringing you updates from Nigeria. Yomi, so how are you? How are the kids? I know that they are home, so when they are there, more pressure. How are you?
Well, one thing about the children is, the routine of always coming out of these, school hours. Sometimes they still have to wake up in the morning as usual. So, it's a routine that they're used to. And that literally means that you just have to wake up to make sure that they have, the first meal as well. So it is important that, the children have those meals, because if otherwise, you will just have to have children that are very, very angry and bitter and asking whether they are still in Africa or they are here in Europe, where food should not be one of the major problems. So, but as long as, we are doing what we have to do, the children are doing very well. And it's good to be back again to you in the studio.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you. But before I go back to him, now Jack's Breaker says, good morning, Mr. Archie, and to Mr. Koiki. Happy Valentine's Day to you. Lots of, we love you, we love you to bits. Prince Amimbola should I say, good morning to All Star Radio crew. I'm grateful and thankful to be alive, and Niger didn't happen to us and families back. Happy Valentine's Day. Yes, we are grateful to God, Allah, or whatever we believe in, that because He's kept us in some way, somehow, and that's why evil has not happened to us. So, now let's move on to some of the stories making the rounds. We knew that this conversation pertaining to what was happening with the naira, the old naira notes, the Supreme Court ruled that the federal government could not go on with their plans to end. Make Friday, the last Friday, the final day for exchanging it. But now, with everything that seems to be going on, so I know that, well, if I'm a trader, you come and you want to buy something from me, I bring in the old naira note. For me to even get to the bank to put it, just even deposit there, is a problem. So why should I take it? And therefore, that is what is happening. So naira deadline, banks, fuel stations rejects old notes, ignore Supreme Court order. So Yomi, if people have their naira now, what are they doing with it?
Well, it seems now that, as we have said so many times, Nigeria is so divided, and is divided in terms of ethnic line, in terms of nepotism, in terms of whether the rule of law, is something that needs to be respected. As we do know, a lot of the current situation happening in Nigeria literally means that, as we speak right now, it depends on what part of Nigeria you are. I mean, if you're in Kano, you could be arrested for not accepting the old naira notes. I mean, the Kano State Governor has given order that the continuation of the old naira note must be accepted. Is Kano now running a parallel system, or is he just trying to save the economy of Kano State, from collapsing, especially with the spark of insecurity, and also as traders are struggling, especially as Nigeria has been in recession for a very long time. Let's come back to southwest of Nigeria. I mean, I saw a video that was sent to me yesterday. Is in our local language. The elderly man was actually crying inside the bank. He's not asking for anything. He has his money in the bank, but he can't access the money because of the scarcity of the new naira note inside the bank that he was actually attending. And he says he needs that money so that he can buy food and drugs. Tomorrow we would have to wait for the Supreme Court order whether the money should continue to be used or not. But it is also coming from the leader of the Yoruba self-determination struggle, Professor Adebanji Akintoye. In a statement that he actually released yesterday, he also mentioned, in that particular statement, that we're going to read a little bit out of it later on in the course of this program, but I'm just trying to pull that. But as soon as I have that ready, yes, I think we have that right here. And in that statement, he was actually referring back to the naira scarcity is the headline. Naira scarcity, is this an economic war on the people of the Yoruba? The federal government disagree with that. The federal government believes otherwise. But for now, I'll come back again to you in the studio. And we say good morning to all our listeners. We've actually, we are not transmitting, so we've told them to all come down to Starr Radio UK. And I'm sure you'll probably get more comment coming through. Like I've already seen one from Iyalode, Ijana, Ota, Fatbel. A good morning to you, Grandma says, Biafra Nation now, Yoruba Nation now. And likewise, those that have joined us on our YouTube and Twitter. But remember to subscribe on the Starr Radio UK Twitter handle. And that is the only way you can get all the latest news and update coming from Nigeria. I return back again to you in the studio. As they always say, Wahala is just always loading in Nigeria. May Nigeria not happen to us.
Wow. Now, hello there. Let me say thank you very much for joining. And as many of you who are watching us on our Facebook and YouTube and all the other social media platforms, we thank each and every one of you. And thank you very much. You can share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones. Now, let's come back. Now, we have Professor Banji saying that, Akintoye saying that, look, this, he reckons, is like an attack on the economy of the Yoruba people. Somebody will say, I mean, those in the southeast are also going to say that it's the same thing that they reckon is going on. Because it looks like if you're not able to put your monies in, you're not able to go and change your money, you cannot withdraw your money, then some way, somehow, you are being impoverished. And therefore, it's going to ruin your personal, your local economy and the economy of that particular area. And the fact that there is a saying that money talks. Once you have money, it's a money answered all things. So the moment you are impoverished in a way, then that means that you will not be able to fight your cause and stuff like that. So I think that what Professor is saying has got some truth in there. But of course, the federal government will debunk that statement that no, it's not true. But what has been the reaction after that statement from the federal government as well?
And you're quite right, just to dip a little bit into, what Professor Adebanjo Akintoye, the leader of the Yoruba self-determination struggle, was actually saying, regarding, the currency scarcity in Nigeria. I mean, let us remind that, he's currently held in Benin Republic. And the reason for that is because, the federal government, is also after him, just as Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho, and likewise, the rest of the team that are currently in there as well. But what we can say is, from what Professor was saying yesterday in that statement, this change in currency has been implemented without consulting the relevant stakeholders to assess how it will affect lives and livelihood of the ordinary Nigerians. It's not just talking about the Yorubas, but it's now more focused about the ordinary Nigerians. It raises the question of whose agenda is the CBN governor is following. The inflexible application of this policy by the CBN, the Central Bank of Nigeria, starves ordinary Nigerians of cash, preventing them from being able to carry out their daily activities. This has also disproportionately disadvantaged the ethnic nationalities in the south of the country. While strict adherence to the rules is encouraged across the south, the northern leaders have already granted their people permission to continue using the commission currency in the contravention of the CBN. And towards the end, he says, the CBN demands to recall the old Naira note will further impoverish our people who are already living below the poverty line, as Nigeria remains the capital poverty of the world in every day due to the Nigerian government. Therefore, there is no other alternative than to ask the Yoruba people, is now speaking directly to the Yoruba people, to resist this destructive policy enacted by the CBN. Is now pleading with you people, the Yorubas, for the sake of yourselves, your kinsfolk, please continue to accept the old Naira note. Where possible, agree to also accept the alternative currency, which is the CFA, which is the closest to Nigeria, Benin Republic, in your everyday trade and commerce.
But I'd rather accept the CFA, because I know that they have not changed anything there. So some way, somehow, maybe later on I can still go and change it. But you see, the problem is, if you have the Naira, the old one, and it happens that you don't have, because look at people queuing in front of the ATM, and even to get access into the bank, you have a problem. So if you take that money until the Supreme Court rules that, look, guys, whatever it is, maybe until next year, before we're giving you ample time for everybody to bring their monies in, I think people are not going to adhere to that. People are not at all.
Well, you're quite right, and let's quickly remember that we did say we were going to get the video of Buba Galadima. It's just about a minute. Mm-hmm. This is what Buba Galadima actually said, and it seems that somebody somewhere has the the old Naira note. We see if we can get that in just about a few minutes, but I'll come back to you when that is ready. Buba Galadima is actually telling us that one of the state governor in the Northwest have got 22 billion Naira, I mean the old currency, in their own stash somewhere in the house. And the question is, what could be a governor doing with 22 billion Naira? That is a lot of money, but we do know that the reason why such money is there, and we got that video ready, which is going to be the soundtrack coming out, that literally means that 22 billion can be used. Well, Tinubu, with this headline coming, says, Naira scarcity, Emefiele plans to scuttle Tinubu's victory. According to the ex-minister, Mr. Dayo Adeyeye described Emefiele, the governor of the central bank, in the Nigerian history. Former Minister of State for Works, Dayo Adeyeye, has accused the central bank to plan to scuttle the February 25th general election. This is what Buba Galadima, we once interviewed him here on Starr Radio UK some few years ago, but this is what he had to say in this interview he granted to one of the mainstream media back home in Nigeria?
Yes, and the security agencies know.
Let's go back and listen to it.
The government said they are doing this because a lot of people have amassed wealth, all the currency in their private houses. Agreed.
You agree with that?
I agree. How? Because I know that there is a governor in the northwestern part of this country that has got, from intelligence, has got about 22 billion naira of the old currency.
What? Engineer?
22 billion of the old currency stacked in his house.
Yes, a governor in the
governor in northwest.
Will you blow the?
No need. He knows himself.
And you know that he knows himself?
Yes, and the security agencies know.
But why are they not talking?
Because maybe they belong to the same club.
Well, you heard him there. Maybe they believe in the same club, and that is why the security agency is not going after this particular governor. Nigerians are waking up every day struggling to get access to that new currency, but the old currency continue to be used in the northern part of Nigeria today because they totally disagree with the federal government and the CBN to make life that have become very strained on their people. Starr Radio UK, it is your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, and I'll come back again to you in the studio.
Yes, listeners, Starr Radio UK, as Mr. Olayomi in our North London studios, I'm actually here in the South studios. Pastor Mo says, Amen, may Nigeria never happen to us. Imagine that old man crying in the bank for depriving him of his own money. God has no choice but to destroy Buhari and all politicians in APC and PDP like Pharaoh. My goodness, that is a serious one there. But whatever it is, now like I said, just bring your comments through and I promise you one thing for sure, I'm going to touch on it. Now let's move on to some of the other stories. Yoruba Nation agitators are amassing weapons to disrupt elections in Southwest. Inspector General of Police Osman claims. Now, what evidence has he got? And who? I mean, we talked about the mega rallies and everything that has gone on. And every time, you know, when we come on, I ask you, was it a peaceful rally? Were people wielding weapons or anything? And it's all no. And we could see from videos what was going on. So for the IGP now to come and claim that, well, the agitators are now amassing weapons, for what? Why?
Well, we do know that election countdown is already a fever, and when it's a fever of election, the security apparatus are looking for any scapegoat and any reason, not to use, the political parties that have made threats. And as we played yesterday, even the Labour Party, some of their members are also saying that they have enough weapons that they will use to defend themselves, which is totally not the right thing to do. But because of the current spark of things, we saw last 3 weeks precisely the Labour, the PDP were wielding weapon in a broad daylight. There's evidence to that, and they were driving in the PDP vehicle. We also have evidence of the APC. Oshiomhole is currently saying that they will intimidate everyone in a particular state yesterday in a video as well. It's just 11 days, and definitely the security agency, who is also the Inspector General of Police, is a Fulani man. We have to say that. And the reason for that is the Yoruba Nation movement has continuously been told that we do not engage the security agency. They are also facing the same similar problem. They have children that are not in school. They have children that are currently also out of 3 square meal like any other average Nigerian. But I do not know where that evidence is coming from. But yesterday, Usman Baba has revealed that the police gathered that the Oduduwa Nation agitators have been amassing weapons and mobilizing resources in order to disrupt the peace and security of the electoral process in the Southwest. And the question then is, how do we, solve these problems, especially when intelligent gathering must probably be something that they've used. But is this intelligent gathering confirming that the Yoruba people that have been doing a peaceful protest, that have been killed, that were also, as at the 9th of January, under the government of Lagos State? Remember that the police instruction is coming from Abuja under the CP, which is the Commissioner for Police. But we saw that a death of a young Yoruba man took place inside Lagos State on the 9th of January. But according to the Inspector General of Police, he said he revealed this while he was actually speaking at a strategic meeting in Abuja. It's not just pointing finger alone to the to the Yorubas. He's also saying that similar violent secessional campaign like the IPOB and the ESN members, which have also been targeted at various symbols of democratic governance, including INEC asset and police station and personnel as well. He also said other crimes of national security important, which could undermine our effort towards entrenching a peaceful electoral process. Yesterday, that has been debunked by the leaders of the Yoruba Nation movement to say that the Yoruba Nation has always been peaceful, and if the world needs to search their beam light, they should be doing so on all the three political parties that are making threat to this election coming in the next 12 days.
Now, if you talk, let's digress a bit. We talk about the Labour Party and we talk about the attacks that they've been facing when they go to various rallies. When they went to the north, when they came to Lagos State, and they have the PDP or some of the attack whether APC. I think APC people attacking them, and they are talking about the fact that look, next time they're going to be arming themselves so that they are not attacked that way. Now, it's because of what has happened that has precipitated what action next they also want to take. But I can tell you, the IPOB people, let me just quickly bring that story, because I was looking at it this morning. Just bring you the headline. They said, we don't care about Nigeria elections, IPOB says, and denies attacks on INEC facilities. And then we have the Yoruba group also saying that, look, we don't have anything to do. We've told our people that the only way is that we break away from the country. So whether you're going to have your election, whatever you're going to do, we don't give a hoot about it. So for the IGP to come, so somebody will ask themselves the question that what idea is going on in the what conspiracy theory? What are they trying to plot? So that they say, oh, so we've run up some people, and because of insecurity, maybe the election cannot hold? Or what exactly do you think is going on in their heads?
Well, even as AK-47 bearing pastor arrested, police faces probe, churches apologize. On Sunday, we saw a pastor in Abuja having AK-47 behind him. And a lot of Nigerians, when they saw we're talking about a video, not a dotted image, but the Federal Capital Territory Police Command has confirmed the arrest of the preceding pastor of House of the Rock Abuja chapter, Uche Ayigbe, for wielding an AK-47 rifle while addressing the congregation. We don't know, maybe it was just for his own safety, because we know that even Abuja, according to the intelligence from the Americans that were evacuating their citizens in October, was saying that Nigeria should be preparing for overthrow by the terrorists. But the Inspector General of Police is just preparing the minds of the observers. We already have them in Nigeria. Some will be arriving in the next couple of days. But we do know that the international observer that have been in Nigeria are already aware that as of today, Nigeria remains the number 6 when it comes to global terrorism index. And that literally means that more countries are already, before the election, advising their citizens, including the United Kingdom, from not traveling into the country. As even the election is coming, more citizens will be given a lot of information to either not travel to Nigeria right now because of the spark of the insecurity. Even the INEC said yesterday that 240 polling units is not guaranteed to have an election in 28 states due to the insecurity in the country.
So why should the election hold then? That's what some people will say. But if the election doesn't hold as well, then we're going to be having some entrenched people just being there saying that, well, because of insecurity, we're trying to put things together. They've been there for how many years? They weren't able to put things together. So how can they? But what has been the latest from the leadership of the Yoruba nation and the Biafra pertaining to the election, as whether supporters or members of the those groups, what are they saying? Should they go to vote, or should they just stay at home, as we knew that the IPOP were telling their people that don't go and vote at all? What are they saying there?
And that was exactly part of the conversation, because almost every day the Yorubas are asking, the countdown is getting closer, what is the way forward? And from the leader that I was able to hear him speak on Monday, I'm talking about Chief Ayiloge, during a media conversation with one of the self-determination media on Monday evening. He said that we should remain very, very patient, the election is not going to be part of the Yoruba Nation movement, and that literally means that anyone that believes that they are Yorubas rather than Nigerians should not even participate in this election. We have been participating in the election anyway in the last 23 years of democracy since 1999. It has not turned to favor any part of Yoruba land today, even though we have the government operating from the Yoruba side in each of the states. So the Yoruba self-determination movement struggle has given enough information to say, for the time being, we will not endorse, we will not participate, and we will not be part of the election campaign. The Ninas, from those that are saying that, should the election not hold, would that not bring any anarchy into the state? The Ninas already said, from their own perspective, that the 1999 constitution is not to be used again, because whoever wins this election will be sworn in under the fraudulent 1999 constitution is a military decree. And the only way, for those that are asking that, is there going to be anarchy? No. Transition of winding down the the 1999 constitution has already been presented through the force majeure and others. So it's not just the Yoruba nation. We also have those that are endorsing Peter Obi from the Afenifere, that are the Yoruba social cultural group, that have told the Yoruba people, when you go out to vote, please do not vote Bola Ahmed Tinubu, even though he's a Yoruba man. We don't trust him. Do not vote Atiku. We don't trust him, but we trust Peter Obi, not just because of the trust, because of the unity of Nigeria, because the Southeast is meant to be where the election should be taken to in terms of who win. But because PDP do not want to hand over that slot to the Southeast, because Atiku, every 4 years he comes out from Dubai, refused to allow such to happen. That led Peter Obi to leave the party. It could have been between maybe Wike, that is still not yet in 12 days telling us exactly where he's going to be putting his own vote or campaign with his own followers on the G5. So Nigeria is going through a turbulence, and when you are in the aircraft, I'm sure you are told, put on your seatbelt. So tonight and today, we're saying to a lot of Nigerians, just make sure you fasten your seatbelt, because we are already in that turbulent stage as we speak right now.
Wow. Now, one other topic there, and then we can move on to some of the other stories. Now, so let's take an example that if it happens that the Yoruba nation supporters decide, okay, we don't want to be part of that election, and let's say the IPOP, the Biafrans also manage to get some of them not to be part of the elections, and the election holds. Okay, so people go to vote, and then they come on to declare that this person has become the president, this person won the election. How is that going to impact the agitation or the fight for freedom and everything? How is it going to impact?
And it has always been that regardless of whatever happened between now and the next 12 days that makes the election to occur, and then it comes back to a winner. It is a movement, and the movement doesn't stop because a Yoruba man has won the election, or is coming from Peter Obi, or is coming from Atiku. In a struggle, just as the Scottish are continuously, even though after they lost out at the High Court here, that they will not be given another referendum, but that has not stopped the Scottish saying that they do not want to be in the union with Great Britain. They rather want to have their own independent country as a 5 million, even though they have water, they have electricity, they have the parliament, they have their citizens that are well respected, but as against the Yoruba people, regardless of whatever the outcome, the continuation of the Yoruba Nation movement does not end after the election.
Okay, so listeners, that is some information for you if you are listening to us on this platform this morning. 11:36 the time, Starr Radio UK. Updates from Nigeria with Ms. Olayomi. You can now go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories making the rounds. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Elections Peace Committee raises the alarm over Kano violence. We know that the northern part of Nigeria, Kano brings out a large number of votes. We do not know on which side they're going to be voting, whether for the PDP, the Labour Party, or also the APC. But the Kano State Peace Committee today have now expressed concern over again the increasingly violent attacks among political supporters in the state. The Inspector General of Police doesn't see this as an headline that he should have projected yesterday, but maybe he will see this today, and he probably maybe amended his speech later on. This contained in a statement by the secretary of the committee, Ibrahim Waya, and also released to the newsmen today in Kano. He said the committee had observed with dismay that the recent peace accord signed by the 8 political parties' governorship candidate in the state had been grossly, even before the election start, violated by some party supporters with violent clashes in the recent times, especially at the following notable locations: Dambata, Makoda, Rimi Kebi, Madawari, Rigaya, Limo, Labara Abasawa, Dawakun Kudu, and Tubunwada. This ugly development is glaring, threatening the peace and security of the state. Again, no Yoruba nation was mentioned in here. They have signed a peace accord. This is not the Biafra that lives in the northeast or the southwest that are also disturbing the election. But according to this development, the most current report violence was unleashed on the resident of Rimi Kebi quarters of Nasarawa in local government, which claimed the life of an innocent young boy by the alleged supporter of a candidate seeking election. Remember, for the House of Representatives, was not only dangerous to the lives of the Kano citizen, but also uncalled for. These kind of practice are not only inhumane, but they are also total contravention of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended. The question then is, why is the Inspector General of Police saying that it is the Yoruba people, the Yoruba agitators, that are trying to disrupt the election, knowing fully well, while appreciating the effort of the Kano State Commissioner of Police, the CP, Abubakar Lawal, on the number of the arrests so far made for the perpetrators and prosecution of the same, why call on the commissioner to arrest and prosecute the high-profile vice sponsor of the violence? Because in any violence, it is always the high profile. But Professor Adebanjo Akintoye has insisted consistently in all his broadcasts that the Yoruba nation struggle is a peaceful one and it will remain peaceful. Nigeria Naira deadline. It seems that the problem with the Naira is not going anytime soon, even though tomorrow we will probably get a bit of update. Naira deadline, the banks, the 4 stations are rejecting old notes, ignores the South Court order, because people are saying that if I take this old note from you, even though there's a court order, how many Nigerians today understand what is a court order? All they understand is we are no longer taking the money is now illegal. And that is why it's becoming strain on the lives of millions of people across Nigeria. Some commercial banks, filling stations, imagine even the banks that should understand the process that the Supreme Court has ordered that the Buhari government and the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele should not do anything until the outcome of the Supreme Order. But the filling stations where you have to fuel your petrol, or where you have to take your generator, as we saw in some videos, to buy petrol, or where you have to make sure that you have a bit of petrol, have refused collecting the old Naira note from the customer, contrary to the ruling of the Supreme Court that has restrained the federal government from enforcing the Friday 10th of February earlier by the Apex Bank for the swap. Findings indicate that banks refuse to accept old Naira 1,500 and 200 Naira from depositor, point of sale agent who flooded the bank to lodge their cash. The question then is, what do we do with all this money when the banks are not accepting it? We're going to take 2 more and go straight to the social media before coming back. Like I said, AK-47 bearing pastor have been arrested. Police face probe. Churches have now apologized as well. Petrol station, traders, banks are rejecting old notes in Sokoto State as well. More trouble ahead. Gunmen raise Imo lawmaker country home is also coming from the headline. Atiku has cancelled the river rally, preventing Atiku Rivers rally cancelled to prevent death. Remember that Wike is currently taking charge of whoever comes to the state, because as a sitting governor, if all was smooth among Wike and likewise Atiku, we would have been seeing the romance, but the romance has become sour. Even though today is Valentine's Day, but the romance between Wike and Atiku is so sour that Atiku cannot take any chances. And the reason for that, he says he cannot allow the death of innocent people, so they've actually ruled out going to River State. Hoodlums' reign of terror raises fear over polls in Anambra State. Again, as we do know, there's a lot of unknown government activities sponsored by the same politician to disrupt the election. in Anambra State, hoodlums have been regularly attacking public buildings over the last few months. INEC buildings, police stations, local government secretariats, among others, causing the loss of valued lives and property. The southeast region, particularly Anambra State, is bleeding at the hands of hoodlums who have specialized in carrying out attacks on the public facility. We're going to go straight to the social media so that we can pick up one or two. Gani Adams is trending, and the reason for that is we know that the candidate aspirant of the Labour Party visited, the generalismo of the Yoruba land known as Are Anokakafo. Also, Reno is trending. Reno was part of those that were, participated in what we know as the NSAS that led to killings of innocent Nigeria. They are also pushing their campaign, for a new Nigeria, just as so many, are doing as well. But also, in your own eyes, 21st century slavery will be fully established. Stop the government madness. Divide the blood-sucking country now and let peace reign. This is coming from, Janet Marty on the Twitter. Peter Obi pharmacist. Peter Obi live in Ladipo Market, Mushin, Lagos. Peter Obi Sabi politics, Lagos in the bag of the Labour Party obedient. So that is also coming. We take two more from the social media because of the time spent this morning. We saw the video some few weeks ago that people that are not meant to be Nigerians from Niger, not just in Nigeria, but they also are PVC, according to the immigration services as well. And the last one coming as well, we don't want restructuring, time to break Yoruba Nation, and this is coming from the Yoruba Nation Clubhouse on Twitter. Atiku, to recover Nigeria, we must first have to cast our vote the right way. Well, I'm not sure everybody. Also, we remember Adigun that was killed by the federal government in the process of the assassination attempt while he was going past by Chief Sunday Igboho's house, spent the night there, but that was the end of it. And likewise, Chief Sunday Igboho's uncle was killed as well. Yoruba land bleeds every day, and none of our leaders cares. They only want power on the poor masses, divide Nigeria now, and save lives. And the last one, we need 13,000 security personnel in Enugu for the election over the rampant gunmen. We are already in that Valentine mode, but there's so much uncertainty in Nigeria. You just have to fasten your seatbelt because we're already in a turbulent stage as we speak right now.
Well, listeners, Starr Radio UK 2020 says Supreme Court is cash and carry, and Malami will not accept that nonsense decision. All right, then we'll be following it very, very closely and tell you more as the days and the time unfold. But Yomi, before we run up the conversation, let's look at this Solodu story. Now, Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Solodu has taken another step to secure the release of indigenous people of Biafra's Nnamdi Kanu. He says book an appointment with the president. Now, how true is that?
Well, Soludo, met with Nnamdi Kanu last year, and we do know that he's not just the only one speaking right now. We also have, Okorocha, a one-time governor of Imo State, is also, speaking that, for peace to reign, the federal government should at least release Nnamdi Kanu for the time being, but we are not sure whether between now and the next 12 days that is going to happen. But Soludo is doing everything because his state has been taking the brunt of the insecurity and the hoodlums and the unknown gunmen that has affected the country, the state rather, and that is probably why he's pushing more effort to see if he can have a meeting with the president. But the president is not seeing, somebody like Governor Otom. Governor Otom has been one that the government President Muhammadu Buhari refused to engage with, and the reason for that is Governor Otom believes that Buhari is a Fulani man protecting the Fulani ethnic groups that are creating havoc within the Benue Asics and killing as many people. So it seems that some governors have the preference to Buhari, while some, because of their truth or whatever they are saying, Buhari refused to have engagement with them. So whatever is going to bring the unity of Nigeria, if Soludo thinks that by bringing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu out will bring at least a bit of pressure in the southeast, it's going to be welcome. But whether Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will leave everything he has done and sacrificed since 2017 to accept not to continue with the Biafra nation is something that I don't know. Because in one of his videos that we've come across recently, in just 43 seconds, this is exactly how he put it to those that was part of what he was discussing few years before he was arrested. Let's listen to that briefly.
How we Biafrans to go. That zoological republic called Nigeria will be a worse place than Somalia, and today it is happening. And if you have not applied for your Somalian visa, please try and do so. Should I say Somali visa? Try and do so as quickly as possible, because the zoo is on the path of destruction, and there is nothing man can do to reverse it. Mark today's date and what I'm telling you. Nigeria will be destroyed beyond human comprehension.
Well, and you can see that, with the Naira scarcity, with fuel scarcity, internally, Nigeria is under pressure, like Raskimono will say.
Wow, is Nigeria under pressure or not? Well. Don't you worry, I've lined up a lovely tune that I'm going to bring your way. That is Olayomi by Janet. But, Yomi, before we go.
Well, I'll be back again same time tomorrow as usual. It is the Tuesday, the Valentine mode. As we spend the time with our loved ones, for those outside the country, let us also continue to help those at home. Even though we are sending money, they can't access the money. Maybe we should start thinking of a different plan to make sure that at least they have something ready, as the election is just 12 days. And that would also mean, price of goods will be going up quickly because of those that want to stockpile, because nobody knows what is going to happen between now and then. Stay tuned with Starr Radio UK, and I'll be back again same time tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you very, very much. Listeners, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki, and I'm bringing you Olayomi from Jeanette. Enjoy it, and I'll be with you in the next few moments. Stay tuned. Don't you go away.
Talk, dog.
Ni mo fẹ́ o, èmi fòmìnira forílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Mi ò polongo fáráyé, èmi ò sọ nípa orílẹ̀-èdè yóò. Ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́ o, èmi fòmìnira forílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. tí wọ́n ló gbé àwọn ebèrú dìjà. Bàbá mi dìde jọ̀wọ́ jẹ́rìí ara rẹ̀. Èmi yóò mọ lóko fáráyé. Èmi yóò sọ nípa orílẹ̀-èdè yóò sọ́wọ́rọ̀ yìí. Ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́. Èmi fòmìnira fórílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Èmi yóò mọ lóko fáráyé. Èmi yóò mọ lóko orílẹ̀-èdè mi. Ẹ̀gbọ́n mi sọ̀rọ̀ ìtùnú sílẹ̀ Yorùbá yìí. Mo fẹ́ o. Àní ọmọ aládé jẹun mìíràn.
Higher you build your barriers, the taller I become.
Well, welcome back to the program Star Radio UK. I hope that all my Yoruba folks did enjoy the music that I put across. Olayomi from Jeanette, my nation. Well. 11 days on, we're just waiting to see what is going to happen when it comes to that election. Is it going to hold or not? But my goodness, wherever you are, 7 minutes to the top of the hour, and I wanted to jump into the conversation. You can dial in. Now, let me open the lines so that you can dial in if you have to. Just call us on 0208-133-2257 or 580208-133-2257 or 58. Now, those of you in the US, Canada, or the Caribbean area, it is 0017183032737. 0017183032737. You can also text or WhatsApp at 0753966174. Our Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK, and email address is info@starradiouk.com.
You can decide to turn.
But it's another song for anyone who thinks that they are being marginalized, they are being suppressed, they are being pressed down, their freedom is being actually just squeezed. Wherever you are, remember there is something so strong in you. You will still make it. Pastor Mo is a lovely song pertaining to Jeanette's song. Yeah, okay. So enjoy this one as well, and I'll be with you in a moment.
You take my rights away, the faster I will run. You can deny me, you can decide to turn your face away. No matter, 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong.
Well, something inside so strong, I know that I can make it. It doesn't matter how low you try to push me down, or how high you try to throw me, and how high you build your walls, or how low you dig the valleys. Yes, we can still make it. So wherever you are, I say it all the time. If you believe in a cause, you are convicted about it. Yes, at times it happens that you might lose everything because of that. But remember, posterity will be the judge of that. And maybe you will not enjoy it, but your children's children. One day, somebody will sit and say, remember that one, he was the one who fought for that cause, and because of that, we are enjoying the freedom that we are enjoying, or enjoying, yes, whatever the liberty or whatever things that we are enjoying now. So, it is Starr Radio UK. Now, 2 minutes to the top of the hour at a time. As I said earlier on, the program is going to be finishing exactly at 12:30. So we got now to 12:30 to look at all the other stories making the round. But this afternoon, BB Clement will be coming your way with another edition of BB Means Business. So don't you touch the dial, stay tuned, and I'll be with you.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur, and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK. Now 11:59, so call it 12 o'clock. Now let's crack on. Let's look at some of the stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. But on the African continent, now Tunisia have arrested more critics of President Said. The arrest come as part of a crackdown launched this weekend by the Tunisian security forces, in which political activists, former judges, interesting. The arrest comes, former judges and an influential businessman were arrested. The leader of Enada, Noureddin Bree, 64, was arrested and taken to an unknown location during a police raid involving 100 agents at his home in Tunis, and that's what information coming through is saying. But well, some form of democracy, aren't we talking about it there? Okay, in South Africa as well. Now, 20 dead in a collision between a bus and an armored car. The story says 20 people were killed and 60 injured in a collision between a bus and an armored car, the South African government said on Tuesday. Now, 20 people were tragically killed in an accident when a car truck lost control and collided head-on oncoming with an oncoming bus, the transport department said in a statement. The accident occurred at around 15 hours GMT on Monday on a national road in Limpopo, a province in the far north of the country on the border between Zimbabwe. A team of police divers is currently searching a river below the road for people who may have been swept away by the waters. The cause of the violent accident has not yet been determined, but the region has been affected by heavy rains, said some news agents, newsmen. Now, South Africa has been hit by several days by rain that have caused flooding in several provinces. At least 7 people have been killed. Several are missing. The government has declared a state of national disaster. Rains are still expected to fall on the country in the middle of the southern summer for several days, according to the National Weather Forecasting Institute, which warns of new flooding risks there as well. So if you are living in that part of the world, be cautious. And we'll take the opportunity to say good afternoon to Mr. Ebenezer Hammond and Chantel and all you guys in that office there. Yes. I hope you're all doing very, very well as might be. Okay. Now, Senegal has sent off about 30 of its firefighters to head towards the quake hit Turkey. Now, the story says Senegal has sent a 30-member search and rescue team to Turkey to support disaster relief efforts after a devastating quake, which has been described as the disaster of the century. The men belonging to the Senegalese Fire Brigade departed from Dakar Blaise Diagne International Airport on Monday. The team will land in Adana before proceeding to the disaster area. The firefighters will deploy to Hatay, where they will participate in search and rescue operation. Now, while the chance of finding survivors are almost nil, rescue workers are still sifting through rubble for any signs of life. The death toll from the last week disaster has topped 35,000 in both Turkey and Syria. According to the Turkish government, some 1.2 million people have been housed in students' residence. More than 206,000 tents have been erected and 400,000 victims evacuated from the devastated areas as well. And this is all coming your way from Starr Radio, okay? With updates from across the globe. Now, moving on straight to Ghana as well to look at some of the other stories making the rounds there. Now, Gabi can call me paranoid, but I don't care. Sophia Kufu back to picket at the finance ministry. Now, they remain, they are family. They come from this, they hear from the same family. But the former Chief Justice Sophia Kufu says the president's cousin Gabi Asare-Okyere-Darko can call her paranoid regarding the domestic debt exchange program, but she cares less. Now, she does not appear satisfied with the justification given by the finance ministry for the inclusion of pensioners in the debt exchange program. Now, Madam Akufu is back at the premises of the ministry after triggering an uproar when she showed up to join her peers last Friday, February 10. Now, the Dankwa Institute founder, Mr. Okyere-Darko, was one of the key individuals who criticized her move as misplaced for a former CJ to take a noble cause such as she did, but at such late hour when all was done and all that publicity, she owed it to herself and her social standing to have understood the issues far better than what she exhibited last Friday. She is bigger than that, Mr. Okyere-Darko tweeted. In a rebuttal, Sophia Kufu retorted that Gabi Okyere-Darko can call me paranoid, but I don't care. Now, we're talking about people, we are talking about human beings, we are talking about people who have served this country and have served well and hard. Not easy service when you're not a member of government and you're calling yourself a member of government. Now, the stateswoman has already described the domestic debt exchange as wicked, unlawful, and disrespectful. Now, during the Friday protest, agitated pensioners were invited into the ministry to discuss the way forward. However, the meeting did not yield fruition as the protesters were not convinced by Ken Ofori-Atta's justification, which I'm going to be telling you about that. But today, dozens of them have returned with their placards to reiterate their position. Now, the deadline for the DDEP has elapsed, with the ministry confirming about 80% participation. But the convener of the Pension Bondholders Forum, Dr. Edu Anani Entry, says, though the minister has allowed the pensioners a self-exempt option, it is not enough. He wants the ministry to come clear on its stance on issuer exemption. We want to be exempted just as pensions funds didn't want to be part of self-exempt. The Medical Association didn't want to be part of self-exempt. They stood their grounds and said they exempt us. The government didn't tell them to opt out, he said. Now, Sophia Kufu backs this assertion and is looking forward to a communique from the minister to this effect. So, do you think that is going to happen at all? Do you think that is going to happen at all? But looking at what is happening there, it looks like those who the haves are going to be okay. And now, anyone who has also worked so hard and managed to, buy into these bonds, especially the pensioners whose monies have been invested in the bonds, who might not have the privilege of getting their monies back. So whatever they are dependent on might not come their way, which government is saying that, look, we have about, instead of maybe 15 years and 10 years, we'll make it 5 years, and somebody who is maybe 80, 85. Hey, look at the rate at which, or I've forgotten the term that I really want to use, that is not coming through, but the age at which people die. Okay, so if somebody is 80, 85, they are virtually getting to their so if you say that you're not going to give them their money until 5 years, how are they going to survive? They're talking about some what do you call it, coupons so let's look at that quickly, and then we move on from there as well. Now, government has secured more than the needed 80% participation in domestic debt exchange program as part of key steps to reach board level approval with the International Monetary Fund on a 3 billion facility to restore macroeconomic stability in the country. The government's DDEP closed on Friday, 10th of February, with over 80% participation of eligible bonds, the Finance Ministry said in a statement on Tuesday. The question is, those who have accepted that, did they actually understand it? Or they think, well, maybe that is a better evil, and therefore decided to just hop on. The government targeted 80% participation in the program to help restructure 137.3 billion Ghana cedis in bonds on the domestic market to bring its total debt, which stand at about 575.5 billion cedis, to sustainable levels. The government expressed gratitude to the people of Ghana for their support throughout these very difficult times, and said it will consider inputs made by stakeholders during the DDEP engagements to further streamline government's expenditure. The Finance Ministry maintained that the exercise was voluntary, and thus the right of the individual to self-exempt was never in doubt. Now, this is the question where a place where we say tighten your belt. And when you say tighten your belt, I expect that everybody is going to be tightening their belts. And so when some are tightening their belts, others are getting extension on their belts. So how fair is that? But well, you are promising the government is going to cut down on its expenditure or be somehow in control of their expenditure, so that they'll get the country out of this. But as has been said earlier on, as I did say whilst I was bringing you the headlines this morning, one of the was he a minister? Okay, Dr. Aproku. Okay, so let me bring it. A leading member of the two-time flag bearer aspirant of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Kofi Konadu Aproku, says the continuous stay in office of the beleaguered Finance Minister Kenneth Oriata is problematic. He says the minister has played his role and ought to have left the scene long ago. According to him, the opinions of citizenry matter greatly in politics and must not be ignored. But that's what I was saying the other time, that I don't care whether it's a military, I don't care whether it's a democracy. So far as the opinion of the citizenry or the interest of the citizenry is paramount, I'm in for it. Okay, so people talk about the late Gaddafi and everything that went on there, the fact that he was strong-handed. Well, there were excesses. Yes, we all agree to that. However, if you look at majority of the people he carried them along, they were all seeing progress and development in their lives. So if we say we don't want anything of that sort, we want to be voting for our people, and then we go vote for them, blah blah blah, and they come to power, and we say, you know what, you can't do anything, you can't touch them, they all have to be there until another 8 years or 4 years, or until we go to the polls. And we see them wanton distraction, consumption, stealing, raping of the finance of the state. Then what do you think about that? What do you think about that? The wastage. Now, a typical example is the Auditor General's report on the COVID fund. Now, what has happened to it? And is anybody going to be brought to justice for, woefully wasting state funds? And so when we get to a point like this, where now you are saying, oh, everybody has to bring them, and you're not going to get your money, you have to sacrifice and sacrifice. Are they actually sacrificing themselves? Or are they putting money away like the Nigerians are doing, where somebody has got how many billions of naira in their own, maybe under their bed, preparing for elections? Is that what they are doing? Or trying to, make themselves, very rich, so that their family, their generations will never go poor? At the expense of the citizens My goodness. Well, listeners, it's 12 minutes past the top of the hour, and it's Star Radio UK. Share your take with me, whatever it is, and I promise you, I will share it with the general public. But this is what Dr. Apraku is saying. Why hasn't he made his voice heard on this front? But he's saying, now, you know what? If I were there at the helm of affairs, this is what I'm going to do. But the president, in the other time, making a statement, did mention the fact that when everybody lost hope in him, it was the finance minister who believed him, who financed him, who pushed him forward, and therefore that's why he still kept him there. And you ask yourself the question, if the person is not delivering, maybe initially he was delivering, it's gotten to a point where his heart is time. I'd rather bow down whilst I'm high rather than when I hit rock bottom. Well, it's all Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Breaking news coming through from the UK. Skipper Michael Lawrence has been cleared of manslaughter over death of a 15-year-old Emily Lewis in a speedboat crash in Southampton water. Skipper Michael Lawrence has been cleared of manslaughter over death of 15-year-old Emily Lewis in speedboat crash in Southampton water. Okay, so those are some of the stories making the rounds here in the UK. Let me bring you others and then we'll move on from there. Okay, now England's hospital with the worst A&E weights have been revealed. So let's see which ones they are, so that if you know you have to go there for to the A&E, you quickly run, you find some place to hide yourself. Now A&E waiting times have deteriorated so much this winter that some hospitals in England, more than half of patients have had to wait more than 4 hours. Some analysis of data for December and January shows how university hospitals, Wye Valley, Shrewsbury's and Telford were worse for A&E waits. The best trusts out of the 107 provided data, Northumbria Healthcare, and fewer than 10% waiting more than 4 hours. Now, NHS England said plans were being put in place to support struggling trusts. Some analysts published analysis published waiting time figures come as the NHS is nearing the end of its worst winter since records began nearly 20 years ago. That there have been delays across the emergency care system, with both ambulances and A&E struggling, but the impact of those delays has not been felt evenly across the country. So let me tell you some of them. Long waits tops Hull Hospital, followed by Wye Valley, that's in Hereford, Shrewsbury and Telford, Airedale, West Yorks, East Cheshire, University Hospital Birmingham, University Hospital Leicester, Princess Alexandra in Essex, Barnsley, Ashford and St. Peter's Hospital. They are the worst ones, you know. But the good ones, the shortest waits. Royal Cornwall Hospital, that's good. Salisbury, Sheffield Hospitals, Norfolk and Norwich Hospital, Guy's and St. Thomas in London, Homerton Healthcare, London, St. George's Hospital, London, Blackpool Hospital, Maidstone and Tunbridge Wells, and Northumbria Healthcare. They are the ones who are doing very, very well. The chance of waiting more than 4 hours at A&E in the 10 worst performing trusts were at least 5 times greater than it was at the best. The research is based on information from the trust submitting data on 4-hour waits. 14 services do not, and as they are piloting new ways of measuring performance for the government. So we're following it very, very closely so that you know where you live and you know whether you are being treated the right way. But it's all coming your way from Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, some sad story also occurring. A man is in a life-threatening condition after several men were found stabbed in an East London pub. Now, police found 3 men injured inside the Duke pub in West Wood Street, Walthamstow, on Monday evening, and a 4th man with stab wounds in the nearby Shenhall Street. The men aged between 20 and 42 were taken to hospital where one has life-threatening injuries. Officers are appealing for witnesses to the attack at about 20:15 hours GMT. The Met local policing team in Walthamstow Forest is carrying out inquiries into to establish what happened. The Met spokesperson said London Ambulance Services and London Air Ambulance were also called to the incident. It's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. One other story from the UK front, and then we'll move on to some other stories from other parts of the world. But hold on for a bit. Let me have a sip.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK at the tail end of the program for today. But in the UK, one other story before we cross over. The BBC's Richard Sharp is facing fresh calls to resign. Now, Jonathan Dimbleby and Baroness Whitcroft have joined a growing chorus of voices questioning his position. Mr. Sharp is facing a criticism for his role facilitating an £800,000 loan for the then Prime Minister Boris Johnson. An MP's committee said Mr. Sharp made significant errors of judgment in doing so while applying for the BBC's job. He insists he got the job on merit. Now, veteran BBC broadcaster Mr. Dimbleby told the BBC Newsnight what Mr. Sharp should do honorably is fall on his sword. I have no doubt that he was appointed on merit and on the basis of available facts. He said the issue is simply about transparency and accountability. He warned the credibility of the corporation in the public view was at stake, adding the BBC needs this like it needs a hole in the head. My goodness. Well. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, the Chinese balloons have been recovered from the ocean, and apparently they are not aliens. They are not aliens. The sensors from the first suspected Chinese spy balloons shot down over the U.S. have been recovered from the Atlantic Ocean, the U.S. military have said. Now, such crews found significant debris from the site, including all of the priority sensors and electronic pieces identified, said U.S. Northern Command. The FBI is examining the items which the U.S. says were used to spy on sensitive military sites. The U.S. has shot down 3 more objects since the first one in the 4th of February. Now, large sections of the structure were also recovered on Monday off the coast of South Carolina. Military officials have said about 30 to 40 feet, that is 9 to 12 meters of the balloon antennas are among the items found, according to the CBS. Okay, now U.S. officials said high altitude balloons originated in China and was used for surveillance, but China said it was merely a weather monitoring airship that had blown astray. But the question is, did it just blow astray, or what exactly happened to it? We have modern technologies that you can, if you want to actually harness information or surveillance stuff like that they can use. So why are they using balloons? It is glaring that I will see that I say, what about that? What is happening? Or are they just trying to ruffle the feathers of the US or the West so that they will just now decide and then we end up in some war of a sort? Or what exactly is going on? Because this has actually brought about the diplomatic row at the moment, and the relationship between the US and China has actually gone sour. So I don't know what is going to happen there. But in reaction to that, the Chinese have said this. The China claimed that the US has flown balloons into its airspace, marks the latest in a series of shifting position the country has taken on a saga that has gripped the world. It has been almost 2 weeks since the US first accused China of floating a spy balloon over its territory. The incident has provoked a range of responses, from indignation to fevered speculation from the Chinese government and people. Now, after the Pentagon first announced the existence of the balloon on 2nd of February, Chinese officials refrained from an immediate response, only breaking their silence the following evening. Now, in the statement, they admitted the object belonged to them, but added it was a civilian airship used for research, mainly meteorological purposes, that had been blown off course. Now, taking a near apologetic tone, rare for Beijing, they characterized it as an accident, saying they regretted the unintended entry of the airship into the US airspace due to force majeure. But state media, which had mostly held off from the reporting the story until the government's admission got more defensive. Now, China daily claimed the fabricated balloon cannot be tied down to China, with the Global Times urged the US to be more sincere in fixing relations with China instead of making provocative actions against it. But wow, so what were they doing? Is there surveillance? What exactly is taking place there? But it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Well, the searches in New Delhi and Bombay comes week after the broadcaster aired, that is BBC, aired a documentary in the UK critical of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So India have been searched as part of an investigation by income tax authorities. Now, the story says, we hope to have this situation resolved as soon as possible, because they had a full comprehension of the people. Now, although the documentary was broadcast on television only in the UK, India's government has attempted to block people sharing India, the Modi question, online, calling it hostile propaganda and anti-India garbage with a colonial mindset. Last month, police in Delhi detained students as they gathered to watch the film. The documentary focused on the Prime Minister's role in anti-Muslim violence in Gujarat in 2002 when he was Chief Minister of State. The General Secretary of the Opposition Congress Party, KC Venugopal, said Tuesday's search risks of desperation and shows that the Modi government is scared of criticism. It goes further to say, in a quote, we condemn these intimidation tactics in the harshest terms. This undemocratic and dictatorial attitude cannot go any longer, he tweeted. But Gaurav Bhatia, a spokesman from the Mr. Modi's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP, described the BBC as the most corrupt organization in the world. India is a country which gives an opportunity to every organization, he said, as long as you don't spew venom. Well, he thinks that whatever is being spewed or whatever has been aired is working contrary to his profile that they are trying to build as a party and as a government. He added the searches were lawful and timing had nothing to do with the government. Well, it is Starr Radio UK. One other story from the world front, and then we'll bring the program to a close for today. But as I did say earlier on, there's going to be BB Means Business with BB Clement this afternoon, and I want you to be part of it. That will be exactly at 1:30. Now, the shootings Michigan State, 3 killed in shooting at a university is one of the stories making the rounds. At least 3 people have been killed after a gunman opened fire at Michigan State University, the police have said. As well as 3 victims, police said the suspect had died apparently from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Another 5 people were injured in an attack at the main campus in the city of East Lansing late on Monday. Now, police described the suspect as a black male, shorter in stature. They later said he was 43 years old with no known affiliation to the university. Now, students and local residents were told to shelter in place during the manhunt. Now, police later lifted the order, saying there was no longer a threat to campus. They added that the suspect has been found off campus. The identities of the victims have not been released yet. In photos released earlier, the suspect was wearing a denim jacket, a navy baseball cap, and red trainers. The shooting started shortly after 20 hours local time on Monday. That is 1:01 hours GMT Tuesday, and sparked huge manhunt involving hundreds of officers. The officers who responded to the attack found victims at the Berkeley Hall on the campus north side and the adjacent MSU Union building. Now, students reported on social media that they were hiding. One Drew Russ, an 18-year-old from Los Angeles, was watching Star Wars with friends at his dorm when a deluge of text messages arrived. He and everyone on his floor in the dorm, which is about a mile from Berkeley Hall, stayed put. Okay, I couldn't believe this was happening on my college campus, he said. Another student jumped out of a first floor window at Berkeley Hall, her parents said as well. But well, this is what has happened from across the globe. I like to say all the time, if it's making the headlines, we will touch on it. So, this is why I bring the program to a close for this morning or for today. And I will once again say thank you very much for those of you who joined in, those of you on all our social media platforms, and those of you who were on our apps, the Star Radio app. If you go to your app stores, you type in Star Radio Global, it will pop up and you download it, whether iOS or Android, and you will enjoy it. So on that note, I say thank you very, very much. But let's take this commercial break, and after that, I'll bring you some lovely tune, and I will call it a day. Stay tuned.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Okay, so let me say thank you once again for joining in. And as I said, for those of you who are enjoying or celebrating the Valentine's Day, I say happy Valentine's Day to you. And those who don't believe in it as well, just go about your duties, do whatever you have to do. But I believe in one thing for sure, that you don't need just one day to show your love to somebody. You love me you love me always, and that is how it's supposed to be. As we say in the Bible, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. He didn't choose a particular day that he will come to love you and then another day he comes to hate you. No, he loves us all the time. So let's look at that kind of love, the love that he gives and doesn't think of getting anything in return, because that's what God did unto us. So on that note, let me say thank you very, very much. I love you to bits, and I know that you've been there for me, being on, whether you have the means to support yourself or not, you still turn on to watch us live, and we are so grateful. And we say God bless you. I'll see you all tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye for now. But remember, BB Clement coming your way at 1:30. This one is from, it's a cover version of Kojo Antwi's Made of Upa, and this time from Solomon Kane. Enjoy it.
Solo 7. Made of Upa, Wunyum Nepwe. Made of Upa, Wunyum Nepwe.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
Odaye unkoma tejem, Odaye unkoma shishishi, Odaye unkoma tejem.
Greetings, so Omobolaji, and he says, good morning, Miss Archie, and lovely brother, Mr. Koiki. God bless you all, and happy Valentine's Day to you as well, Omobolaji.
Only one midnight. Oh, yeah. Oh, only one misunderstood. Oh, only one is your bucket in my. Oh, I die away. Found Sabbath to me come away. Can't send the baby to me, Mammy Moon Sabemi. Me to a BSA, put the other mouth to your bed. Me to sue, I'm sorry, how do you way? Na 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 na. When I want to, I tell you who I'm about to see. Now I'm showing you about, and on the mammy or a chichi.